Okay, we are live, and I'm just making sure I'm visible, audible, opening up my chat. All right. So, okay, we are live, and I'm just making sure. Okay, so do you ever feel like you are doing everything alone at home, at work, any initiative that you take, you're not alone. A lot of us feel the same way, and we don't know how to come out of it, or we are filled with a lot of tasks in our hand that we are doing, and we are not having that best version of ourselves. And either at work or family, it's not fully functionable like a supportive unit. So instead of that, it is running like a one person army. So how many of you here are going through life or work like that? And it is interesting to see that irrespective of any location, any region, any, you know, profile, um, especially with working mothers, we, irrespective of any part of the world, we go through this. So you're not at all alone. And this episode is for somebody who wants to balance roles and build that trust, whether it is in your family or at work. And whether with the colleagues or with your family members, it is important to build that kind of a trust so that it goes smooth. Otherwise, there will be bottlenecks, and your communication with them should be very clear, kind. At the same time, there has to be a clarity in what you are doing, and you should be able to communicate the same thing with a little bit of a deeper connection. If you do not know why you're doing what you're doing, and if your family is not aligned with a common goal, then there will always be a bottleneck, whether it is in the part of communication or in the part of delivery. And so very evident at workplace also, because at work, it's, the organization gets us all aligned to a particular structure, right? It all starts with their core values, and then the goals are, based on the core values only, and the client acquisition, the projects, and everything has a structure. There is a feedback mechanism, but in family, it can go haywire because it's more on a personal level, and human beings are not same irrespective of their age also. So we have different likes and dislikes. So how are we going to manage these both unit by itself is biggest elephants by itself. So if you're going to marry these and going to have a seamless transition, we need to equip ourselves and skilled at certain things that can help us move through diligently. So we're going to see all that. And in which case, if you are watching me live, and if you want to, chat with me, I'm just opening up this chat so that it is out there for everybody to join. And we also want to know how many of you here feel that there is a need for you to learn collaboration skills, and that's what we will be diving into. But today, it is more about, emotional agility. That was the previous episode, and now we are jumping into collaboration. The need for collaboration is everywhere. Am I right? Whether it is in your family or it is in your, work environment, everywhere there is a need for collaboration. How many of you feel that you, as a working mother, you may think I don't have a particular goal, or I really don't have anything much to say when it comes to delivering my daily task. But every day there is daily stressors happening, right? When it comes to delivering anything in your parenting or with your family responsibilities or future investments, you got to communicate and you got to collaboratively work with your family. You just cannot escape from it. And if it is work, again, based on your responsibilities, you just cannot say no to everybody who comes in your vicinity. So you'll have to develop that people skill as well as the process skills. So we're going to see today how emotional intelligence, especially the brain skills, is going to help you develop those and help you seamlessly work with these skill set. Okay, I'm just going to open up my presentation and we'll see what we've got for today. We're going to talk about how to have hacks, how to deliver certain things seamlessly using brain hacks. But in essence, what we need to understand as a teamwork is how your brain approaches. Because the series is dedicated to brain skills, and you by now know that we will be discussing about logical and creative brain, we'll see how these both sides of our brain is functional when it comes to teamwork. We all know the theory behind that we need to have a team spirit and we need to have a common goal and we need to be working together, whether it is at work or family. We know the theory behind it, right? But how are we going to deliver it and what is happening inside your brain? Because when you have that brain strength, brain power, especially emotional strength, then the necessary talents and skills and all that put together, then you will be able to deliver it seamlessly. Otherwise, there will be constant struggle. And that is happening only when there is an imbalances of processing of data with your logical brain and creative brain. Let's see today what is that. Your left brain is approaching in working settings that teamwork involves structured roles and clear objectives to meet organization goals. In family life, it's about organizing responsibilities for household tasks. As I already said, there is a structure in the organization level, but when it comes to family, you can always automate, adapt the same level of structuring, but it's just that you cannot disregard the emotional aspect of it, more of an emotional brain and less of a radical way of dealing. But there has to be a backup of a structure, the logical way of doing it. Only then there will be an objective way to lead life. Otherwise, whims and fancies, if you go with each and everybody's likes and dislikes, then it's not going to take us for a long run. And for your right brain, your teamwork thrives on emotional intelligence like empathy, collaboration, emotional insight, right? And then be able to build that strong relationship. So it creates a sense of shared accomplishment through understanding. Now, the benefits of teamwork is could be a shared responsibility that teamwork distributes workload, ensuring no one feels left out and no one feels overwhelmed. And it is going to help you faster in become faster in problem solving. Okay, and it gives you the increased motivation level. Being a part of team encourages accountability and mutual support and stronger bonds. Teamwork strengthens relationship through communication and trust. The challenges of teamwork here could be a couple of things, but in the interest of time, I've jotted down 3, 4 points that we can remember. First thing is, if you don't have a team spirit, you're going to have a conflict. Different opinions, approaches can lead to conflict if not managed properly. Unequal distributions of contribution level. Some team members may contribute more than the others, leading to frustration. It's a common scenario. It's the same with family also. Am I right? At some place, women who are, also handling the career ambitions, they seem to juggle with a lot of. It may not be a monetary effect at home front, but it has to be completed. So we shoulder a lot of tasks. Okay, it could be mundane, it could be unproductive, but at the end of the day, it has to be done. So that way, the contribution is continuously happening from our side. It could be at some place of, at some place where um, the spouse, the male, also contributes in various other ways other than the monetary effect. So there has to be a determination and the measure as to what kind of contributions are we making and leading to what. Instead of evaluating the intensity or the outcome of what we are doing, instead, is there a need for that and how are we doing it seamlessly without exhausting? That is something that we have to look at it. And time consuming. Collaboration may take more time than working independently. Communication breakdowns can happen. Poor communication can hinder teamwork, leading to misunderstanding. So the cost of poor teamwork could be inefficiency, stress, and lower quality. There could be many, but let's just understand this inefficiency. If you don't have people aligning with one vision, there's going to be unequal distribution of work, and there's going to be a misalignment and time wastage, energy wastage, right? And sometimes monetary wise also. So there has to be a measure to it, and it could be the loss of time and effort and resources leading to inefficiency of completing the task. It becomes more challenging to complete and leading to delays. Then naturally it's going to pile up on stress. So workload imbalance the causes of strain on individuals and relationship, and it is going to reduce the quality of output. Without diverse input, outcomes suffer from both work and home settings, especially when you're dealing with, when you're not peaceful at home, it's going to show up in your business or work. And when you're not doing something at work, all of us know that we are not going to, we are not supposed to bring that stress back to home. There has to be a work-life harmony and all that. But we're also human being, right? So I worked with big corporates for 16 years. So I know the pain of, especially in my life, I've gone through two types of burnout at two times, at two different places. Okay. And that has a measure to it. It's the number of, uh, the time that is involved, and also the intensity of going through the situations. So one was physical exhaustion, another one time was emotional exhaustion, but both of them are relatable. Physically exhaustive when I was, in the corporate exposure, and I had to leave the job because I had a child, and the ride, the drill, right? So we go through a lot, but then there I realized the burnout happened not because the physical, not because the emotional overwhelm or something like that, but it is more of a physical fatigueness, tired of traveling, coming back and forth. Now, today, if you ask me, I will never be able to step into that cycle at all. That's a vicious cycle, and for me to break through that, it took a lot. But eventually, as a divine intervention, that we had to step out from India to US. So that gave me a good break for me to understand what I really need and what was the cost. But then again, the lifestyle of the global countries could be very, very different, and then physical exhaustion comes in a different forms. So you see, it lowers down the quality of work, of output, despite of having a lot of facilities. Even though I'm working from home, no travel at all, no boss, no office setup, employment, punching card, and all that. But the amount of activities that we are doing, and it leading to, sometimes emotionally also. So that's the second level of exhaustion that I was into. Just because all these imbalances in the relationship, and then our own health, and to be able to communicate effectively or collaborate effectively at that point of time, when we are handling with so many things, it is a stress and it is becoming overload, and eventually it will have a burnout, and obviously there'll be a lower quality. And it's good that even before I hit that quality issues, I took a call, I listened to my body, and then I made a call to quit. So that was the turning point, and that's when I turned to my emotional well-being also, because that's where I took a dip in my self-esteem. You see, it's not stopping. The physical exhaustion got over, but then there are other things and other dimensions in life that we also cater to. Otherwise, it's going to affect, right? Vice versa. If your relationship at home or if your relationship within yourself is not really good, the same stress is going to happen, the same low quality, the same inefficiency can happen. And it will spread out to any dimensions of work that you have. So the power of effective teamwork could be 50% being more effective. Stanford study shows that team are half again as productive as individuals. There could be a job satisfaction raise, right? And there are stress levels when it is going down. So shared responsibilities reduce the individual burden, which is totally good. And it also, thereby, it also has an alignment, and then there will be no delays, there will be no stress, because there is a structure to it and everybody is aligning to it. And there is a fulfillment in each of the individual's performance. Who benefits from teamwork? Typically, the corporate exposure managers and leader who are coordinating with employees towards shared goals, becoming more effective. Entrepreneurs managing teams and working with business partners, drives, driving success. Absolutely. Even if I'm a solo entrepreneur working from home, virtually 100%, I have to handle a lot of tasks and with my clients time and again. And, for me to also balance the family demands, it's going to be a huge learning curve. As my business scales up, and I'm going to be having a many teams working for me. So there will be a coordination with them as well. So there is a constant work to be, in progress. So everybody, any walks of life needs it. And how about parents? Because we are talking about working mothers and juggling with, different hats, and it could also be with working fathers as well, or stay-at-home dads. So balancing household duties, work, and family responsibilities becomes manageable when you have this teamwork spirit in you. And as a couple, also managing financial, emotional, logistical aspects of family life together will definitely strengthen. So teamwork in workplace could be cross-department collaboration. That could be one way where sales teams work with marketing to launch a targeting campaigns, increasing overall results. It's a natural um, collaboration happens. Similarly, with process teams, with that of IT teams, they know, they collaborate. HR, dealing with the team heads across all departments, that could be a teamwork as well. And within the team, there could be team accountability created, and then different projects has different cross projects, cross pollination can happen. And innovation sessions. So team sharing ideas, supporting each other to achieve business goals, either within the projects or across departments or across the location, organization. Now, about work, this is what is getting interesting, right? So when it comes to household management, dividing the family responsibilities like chores, childcare, finances, and also sometimes future investments or planning for vacation, all these are, there are elements where you can always delegate. It's not outsourceable because there are certain things you can outsource. When it comes to kitchen, right now it is the trend that, especially if you're into business and also handling your family chores, and when you are outside India, when you have the global presence, or when you are in the global countries, is when you will find this need a lot, where the common kitchen can happen inside a community. But it has its own advantage and disadvantages, and it is not, very easy when you step out of India. But when you are in India, I think the community building, community living is enhancing, and then sharing a lot of responsibilities together is also evidently seen. So that can happen where you outsource a lot of things from your kitchen, or there are bits and pieces that we all know that, smart enough to outsource a lot of, delegating a lot of tasks, right? Having a maid or automating your shopping requirements, grocery list. Nowadays, it's a home delivery. A lot of things comes to your home at your doorstep. A lot of automation can happen. Despite of it, you have your family members where you can delegate it. Okay. And then decision making, as I just said, it could be something in the short term vacation planning, or it could be future planning. Collaborative approach to important decisions, to, it's from vacation to budget. It's very, very important. And it has to be an aligned task. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of frills, a lot of spills. When it comes to parenting, also raising children by dividing responsibility is a huge task. We all go through at a lot of, if you have two, three children, it's the same drill. So it's just that we have additional home members to take care and delegate. But when you're a young couple, we all go through this, especially with the nuclear family. There's a huge hue and cry. Over there in global countries also is the same, but they have a structured way of bringing up the child. So, but in India, it's going to be, it is a ruckus for now, because the trend is changing and we are adapting to Western country, but yet we are rooted culturally. There will be some learning curve there. And when it comes to relationship building, shared tasks, creating opportunities for connection and appreciation. So when it comes to relationship building, also sharing tasks, creating opportunities, uh, that also builds some deeper connection between ourselves. And when you finish the task, when giving credit for contribution, or being fair with each other, and contributing fairly is also very, very important, right? All right. So let's see what is the next one we've got. Apart from this, there are some brain hacks that we can use to activate our left brain and right brain. So this is more interesting because so far we have been looking at the outcomes, looking at the importance of why we are doing teamwork, and why it is important, and what are the pros and cons. Now we also saw in applicability where you can apply, but right now it's the time for you to activate your left brain and right brain. Some of you could be right brain activated already, so you need to concentrate on the left brain tips. And for some, left brain logically thinking, you need to just step onto the right brain. Okay, because when it comes to collaboration, clarity and connection is very, very important. And for you to gain the clarity, which side of the brain that you have to activate, and for you to gain the connection, you need to figure out which one. Okay. So the first one is left brain activation. So for that, there is a hack where you can establish clear role setting. If you can set the context in any environment, which means even when you're going, attending an interview and stepping into some new role in a new company, the first thing that even in an interview process for that matter, the first thing that you would expect is a job description from the job roles that you want to apply, right? That is context setting. So if you can understand what is the expectation, then you step in, then you apply, and then interview happens. Even in interview, there are questions which are asked just to gauge how well do you suit this culture, the values, and the environment, and your role. So that fit in has to happen. Similarly, for family, even when we build our family, in our courtship, what we do is we exchange a lot of ideas and understand each other's views and perspectives, and we align, converge somewhere, right? So that is context setting. And when we have a family, when we get married and when we get into the role of family, there has to be clear role establishment there also, not just in the workplace. It can also happen in the family world. It is not about giving it all and then not having it all at all. It is about having that balance somewhere. Our the self component also has to be taken care, and exhaustion cannot happen to one particular thing. There has to be some fairness, right? So defining responsibilities, clearly outlining what each person is expected to handle, whether you're at work, working in your team for a particular project, or family. Matching strength, assigning tasks based on individual abilities and preferences is also helpful. Imagine if you can, you have a family of two, three children and your spouse and you, or it could be a joint family too, or if you're not, what if you align tasks based on the strength of your kids and your spouse? Right? There are some times that you can always delegate. There are certain limitations that we have, when it comes to kitchen or parenting. We want to be perfect, right? We don't want to give it to our spouse. That's where the exhaustion starts. And now what if you don't get into that mode, and instead, if you can come out of that thing and be able to talk to your spouse and understand if they can step into your shoes and watch you out handling this. So then it becomes, you are also free for you can save your time and energy and concentrate on your priorities, and the connection is also building because they're coming in, chipping in for you. It's the same thing that we will have to do it, right? Imagine your children are coming in, and and they are so fulfilled. Like, you exactly spot their talents, and accordingly you delegate them or make them learn something new, and then you reward them. That's where the connection also happens. And setting timelines, establishing when tasks should be completed to maintain flow, that is also important. Without timelines, um, that the clarity and confidence will not come. If you just have 10 years for one project, then there is no spirit, there is no profits. First of all, for organization, there has to be a timeline for you to have a smart goals. It has to end with the timeline, and you have to stick with it. Similarly, for your family responsibilities, we have daily chores, we have weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. So timelines, having a timelines makes us work structured and save our time and energy spillover. Review regularly, adjusting rules as needed based on changing circumstances can happen easily in an organization, because that's where we have regular feedback mechanism going on. So we will know exactly where it is deviated. If not, I think it is primarily responsibility for a team leader, a team manager, to be able to understand where is the spill, and then regulate those things by monitoring it. Even in family, just because you're delegated it, we're just not going to take care of it, right? We're just not going to deviate from that thing, assuming that it is taken care. Instead, connect with that person to understand if everything is going smooth, and you will figure out the pattern, right? Whether it is serving you both or not. So similarly, ask more than telling. So even before you want to delegate, it could be even for your child. Understand if they are, doing okay, and then a little bit of review will definitely help. And also expect the same review for you, right? You should be able to communicate the same expectation with them. Open communication, that's exactly what I said, but it's going to be your right brain activity. Okay. Well, if you're a logical brain driven person, I think it is important to tap into these skill set. So first thing is for you to have your communication clear. Okay. Don't just think that just because you say something and you will land it in a different situation because of your communication. Okay. Because communication has a lot of elements. It's just not your words. Of course, the words are the last one will be very visible and tangible and proven ones, meaning predictable ones. But before that, there are a lot of other elements that you have to take care. First is there has to be a shared vision. Imagine if the goal organization doesn't have a proper vision, core values, and all that goals and all that, you just randomly, even if it's a creative company, you randomly jump into join them, and then you figure out that uh, nothing is structured and everybody is doing whims and fancies. For that matter, Google was highly ranked as a very creative workplace environment because they have a lot of other facilities which gives the employees a brain break and relax and all that. And in fact, even few projects like 50%, 80% of their projects and 20% are left open for people to creatively think and then come out, choose their responsibilities. The 80% is supposed to be the structured ones, right? Imagine for a company with that stream of products and that level of scaling had happened, if they don't have this proposition balanced, maintained, then it should have been lost by now. So at the same time, imagine the same proportion has gone, 50-50 or 60-40, the other way around, then there is no profitability. It's totally a different charity company, right? Business cannot happen in charity. Similarly, for family, if you can have your decision making all aligned with the vision, so there's nothing big that you have to do. In case you already have a vision board for your family, that's wonderful. But before you arrive at any important decisions, even before conversing for that, if you can just align your intention together. So what's your intention for this topic, the conversation, or what's your intention for taking this call? It could be a very mundane task, mundane decisions, but it is all has to align with larger outcome. So the larger outcome could be simple. It could be saving your energy, saving money, time, and even planning for future. It could be anything starting with a small value in it and the larger value. But the point is, are you aligned with the larger vision, larger goodness? And then have a regular check-in as well. Maintain that consistent dialogue about progress. Very, very important. It's not that one person in family is working, getting all the money, and the other person is just managing the household and all that. It is important to have that conversation to understand whether they are fulfilled. Like, are they happy? Do they have something else? At the same time, when somebody is earning, hard working, it is important to have a check-in. How are they doing? Maybe they need a break, they need a good food, maybe they need good time taking off. At the same time, there has to be not just a review or check-in, but there has to be a steps taken for those residues which has been shared. It's just not for the sake of having a conversation and leaving it at all on the table. There has to be a closure. So closing all the loops. Type in the comments, close loops, open loops, closing all the open loops in life and wherever it is, right? It generally works. Now, imagine the same condition at your work. So if you have any employee coming and sharing the grievances, and if you spot some employees inefficiency and you're trying to have a conversation, if you don't have a conversation, it's definitely going to show up. It could be a delay or it could be low quality output, dissatisfaction from the employee, sometimes even attrition. So it will show up definitely. But if you can have a regular check-in and have a conversation with them, and when the employee opens up, it is important to address and close the loops. It's just not for the sake of formalities, but it is closing the loops. That's where the leadership communication comes in. And then, most importantly, active listening. For you to achieve this, you should also go one step deeper in every conversation, actively listen. 80% is listening, and 20% is telling, asking, listening, and telling. So it is important to truly hear their perspectives and concerns. Only then you can have solutions for them. Then Ideally, when you do this, what you're doing is, first of all, creating that safety environment. You can go from reverse also. So first, even if before you initially communicate something, make sure that you have that safety environment for both of you. It could be with you being a team leader with your team, making sure that your team is protected, right? There are no, you stand with integrity, you show them what you're doing, lead by example, and anything shared stays in that room, right? Build that kind of a code of honor. Similarly with spouse, in your relationship with your family also. So create that safe environment for children as well to bloom and grow. So that's when you have that safety measures for your own self, making sure that whatever you speak is under the safety environment. You demand for it because it is very important. Otherwise, there are no open communication if it is not there. And then you actively listen and then have a regular check-in after you speak. But ultimately, we have to align with a larger vision. Leveraging individual strengths also. So this is both the brain, okay? How do you know the strength? Just with the right brain, it may not be a creative skills only, the right brain skills only. It could be, the left brain skills like structuring, data, facts, figures, presentation. People could be good with data and they could also be useful, right? Everything is useful. So you need to be able to spot and leverage those strengths when you are working as a team. So it's going to be both the brain, activity within you only, right? And then you're able to identify, recognize people's unique abilities and talents. For you to spot this, you need to be working on both the brain. Align the tasks. So when you are able to spot it, you should be able to align it. You should be able to break it down your projects and be able to align it. At family also, there are some things that you have to let loose and other people try it. It could be mundane, it could be something that you're already preset and you don't want to waste it. But then you have to make sure that when you've spotted some talent inside your family, it could be in your spouse or it could be in your children, in yourself, you need to be exploring it. And then support them with resources and then assigned ideas and develop that growth in them by appreciating their strength, challenge areas as well. Now, for you to do this, you need to be also flexible because when you have to let go and then wait for them to explore and come back with some results, and you may not like it. Sometimes for you also to explore those things, the output may not be the one what you expected. But in order to deliver that, we need to be flexible also, especially as a team leader, as a leader, as a manager at home also. You need to be able to flexibly allow it to happen. So how can you do it? First, anticipate the changes. It may not be the same way that you expect. Okay, when once you have this harmony mindset in your mind, like the worst case scenario, if you can understand what is the worst case scenario and you work reverse, you will know. And if it's going to be on your way, the way that you plan, it's going to be a bonus for you. But at least you are anticipating the outcomes and being prepared with your backup plan. Recognize that plans often need adjustment at circumstances evolve. So you will be ready to adjust. Then respond positively. Approaching unexpected situations with a solution oriented mind. If it has gone wrong, okay, it is very important to respond positively on the unexpected result with a solution oriented, like what's next, instead of blaming game and all that. Redistribute tasks. And what you have to do is be willing to shift responsibility when needed to maintain progress. Suppose you find a hurdle, you find a roadblock. Maybe the person or the project demands more time for their progress. So what you're going to do is you're going to align and redistribute the task to be able to complete this particular project on time. Because every task is important. Just because that person has a learning curve, you may not be able to hold it for others. So what you have to do is you'll have to communicate that person and then be able to flexibly change over. But within you, you also have to be flexible. And you have to make sure that the communication is landing in that person to be flexible so that you can redistribute the tasks. And what you're doing is learning and adapting. Use each challenges as an opportunity to improve future collaboration. This as an individual and as a leader that you want to see, every challenge, like once you are allowing that person, your team member, to explore something new and you are adjusting according to you are taking that responsibilities. Leaders always um, stand front when it is supposed to be the time that I have to take that blame. But when it is supposed to be a celebration, they stand behind and they let the leaders, the team members take that credit. So on that note, what we are learning is a lot of things here. Within you, when you are flexible, a lot of things can happen and you will be continuous learner. You will learn from your own mistakes and be able to do it. It may not be visible for others, but you will lead by example. Okay. And celebrating achievements, like I said, it's going to be actually the right brain, but there has to be some planning. Acknowledging collective reinforces. In fact, this has to be purely right, because planning is not needed for celebrating. There could be very minimal, environment also, but at the end of the day, there has to be a celebration. So acknowledging collective successes, it starts from there, reinforcing the positive collaboration, boosting that morale. That is the aim. So have this as a regular practice, even at home, right? Have some celebration, have that vacation, like pick up a lot of, we have in a calendar, we have so many international days, our rituals, our culturally driven calendar days are also there. Like even if you don't find anything, at least like if you're an Indian, then you have every 15 days, Paurnami, Amavasa, and all that is coming. So just take that as an opportunity and then start something new and celebrate. Like we don't need reasons for celebration, right? The team works like this, okay? The teamwork cycle typically likes this, work like this. First is planning, okay? Create shared goals and action steps. Then execute, work together to complete tasks, okay? Then evaluate, review results and adjust approach. And then form, establish the team and define rules. In fact, it starts with form. First of all, establishing, planning, executing, and evaluating, right? So this can be applied in family as well. And then some more elements that you need to understand working with different personalities, analytical types. They could be, creative and analytical brain also, right? And there is something called relational types also. Let's see what is it. Valuing clear process and data-driven decisions, contributing through planning and thorough planning and evaluation is the analytical brain contribution. People who are left brain driven, take a note of it. And for people who are creative brain, they bring innovation and freshness, perspectives, excelling at finding unique solutions to challenges. Okay, that's what they do. The keywords here is innovation and perspectives. Now, beyond this, there is something called relational types. Strengthening team bonds and communication, helping navigating interpersonal dynamics effectively. Now, you marry these both people in the sense you bring these both people converge at one point. That could be a relational point. They complement each other. And the same thing can be applied in family as well. Somewhere, even between spouse, you may be two different poles, but somewhere we converge. And that needs to happen. You better make it happen, because in family, because if we're not peaceful in family, it's definitely showing up everywhere, right? We all know that, and the world is churning into more isolation right now. And it is more important to bring emotional intelligence into family as well, not just within yourself, with others, so that interpersonal alignment can happen. Then building a teamwork culture can happen when you can set this example with 4 steps, okay? Set the example, model collaborative behavior in your own action itself. Like if you're not flexible, if you're not going to delegate at all, if you're very strict, if you're going to be one person who's going to lead, take all the credit and all that, the team will also not happen. Recognize collaboration. Highlight and reward teamwork when you see it, especially with leaders. When you lead a project and when your team members are working on the project, and if you don't give enough credit, there is no team work spirit is going to happen. A classic example is the military leaders. The military training is so rigorous, and the live, the military leader, corporal officers may not be on the ground, but they would have also been gone through it, and then they would have scaled it, right? So when their soldiers are on the ground, and when the leader is taking the credit, the team will definitely fizzle out. Okay, the same way at family as well. You need to have fair contribution and fair credit sharing, celebration. And giving that appropriate credit at the right time is also important. Providing resources, ensuring teams having what they need to work together effectively, especially when you are in business, it is very important to give that resources. Even at work, you have this project, signed up, but then there are no resources for the team employees. They're going to just walk away and then have some coffee, delay it, just waiting for the review to happen so that they can share their grievances. That's not the way. It has to be set before. Similarly, for family responsibilities, you want to delegate, but there are no resources. If you are a head of the family, it is important to set those standards. At the same time, in business as well. So when you have even if it's a lean team that you're working, virtually or 100% in line with, you have a factories and all that, there has to be a safer environment and there has to be facilities given for them. That's where you are going to nurture the growth. Creating opportunities for team to develop their collaborative skills is also important. So I told you examples of Google, which has the 20% of their projects. They're they're not worried about the profitability on that 20% because they want those team culture, the creativity, innovation to happen because they are innovation company and they have to model that in their company place, right? So at this point of time, if you have questions like where are you standing, like I want you to number the range that you are in these areas. Okay, the few areas is, do you clearly define your goals and responsibilities? Do you communicate and encourage that dialogue, or it is going to be mono-dialogue wherever you are? It could be at work or at family. Or are you experiencing mono-dialogue and how do you communicate back to them? Do I leverage others' strengths effectively? And what about your strength? How adaptable am I when plans, changes? And how adaptable is your team when the plan is changing? Would you, bother to take that review? And how often do you do? It's the same thing with your family. And how often do you celebrate collective achievements at wherever you are, both for yourself and for others' win? So, like this, there are other questions, very deeper questions, very logical and very important questions that I have for you for this episode, not just this episode, for all the other episode, in a format of EQ quiz bundles. Okay, it's an awareness brain skills bundles where you will find questionnaire like this coming on to you in a very simple Google format where you will rate yourself and then you will find summary of whatever you've done. That's a beautiful thing. Along with that, each and every question will give you some tips for you to improve it. Now, the beauty of this is you can take this time or even any time after 6 months or lifetime. Imagine for you to take number of quizzes now, the entire bundle is going to have numerous number of quizzes. So if you can go through that based on your profile, for example, we are talking about collaboration of work, family, and everything, right? For working mother. I did touch upon areas where even a parent staying at home can make use of this. And there is a topic which I will be doing for exclusive for entrepreneurs and how the collaboration is effectively needed. So for if you're watching me and you are an entrepreneur, you might want to take that quiz. Also take this quiz. It is up to you. But the beauty is it is angled to each and everybody who's watching this, every walks of life. That's why I span out my the entire series to 100 episodes so that I touch upon I must have been speaking about 20 to 30 emotional intelligence skills only. But I do an episode of one skill spanning out to 4 or 5 episodes on it because I want to touch upon all walks of life. It could be a student, it could be parenting, it could be entrepreneur, it could be a leader. So I highly recommend if you still haven't watched the previous episode, do so because we've spoken on a lot of EQ brain skills as well as in a lot of angles, right? So if you're still, wondering how can you fast accelerate this growth and how can you fast track to understand the collaboration skills that you want to, or any skills that you want to, I'm going to give you another offer where there is EQ Brainstorm Masterclass happens every month for women. There is a form given, there's a link given in the descriptions. Enroll for that. You will understand what is your unique brain style. So far, we have been discussing only the theory part of, the brain styles. But over there, you will find what could be your unique brain styles and how are you going to handle other people's brain styles, live with live interactions, of course, with others. So it'll be a very fun filled and very fresh perspective towards emotional intelligence using your brain skills. And it's going to be a paid workshop or masterclass. So there's a link given here, subscribe to it. And if you want to take this EQ quiz bundles, all you have to do is, that's again going to be a payment link given here, but I don't want you to pay. First, what you have to do is engage in this episode by sharing your comments, and then I'll pick up some winners and then give you 100% free coupon code. The moment I see your comments, I'm going to share this 100% coupon code. And with that, if you haven't still subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. So because you will be notified for all the other episodes, all the other series. And I'm also doing Spotify for each and every episode. Be tuned with that. And of course, there are EQ cafes which can help you bring those skills which are available for entire public. Uh, on various themes on every quarterly. We are going to render it as a mini workshop. This is purely to spread emotional intelligence. So the link is given in the workshop in the descriptions. So please avail that. And until I see you in the next episode, what I want you to do is make sure that you are not just learning, but also practicing, because that's more important for you to be aware that it is not just the learning, it is the application which makes